I approached my resolutions for 2024 a little differently this year, and I have to talk about it. Number one is to write your goals down. Vision boards are cute. I made a vision board last year. Very cute, very colorful, loved it. But there's just something about putting pen to paper that hits differently. It adds weight to your goals. It makes things more real. And I just highly recommend in this world of technology that we're living in that you just write your goals down on paper. Reflecting on the past year and why I kind of strayed away from some of my goals, I think the first thing was I didn't have them in a place where I could see them. Last year I wrote them down and I was like, okay, got it, I'll remember them, put the notebook away, and didn't revisit it as often as I wanted to. So it wasn't something to where I was seeing the goals as often as I should have. And the other thing was my why wasn't big enough. My reason for having those goals was not clear. And so it really doesn't make it impactful or necessary for me to keep them if I'm not even clear on why we're doing what we're doing. I changed things up a little bit this year, and I decided to attach a scripture to each of my goals. Finding the scripture and finding what backed up the goal really made it have more weight and have more meaning to me. It was actually a vibe. Like, it was fun to find the scriptures because of course I already have some in my head, but it really forced me to find new scriptures to back up what I wanted to focus on this year. One of my goals this year is to be more present. I struggle with romanticizing the past, and not even just that, but just having feelings of guilt or regret for whatever decisions I did or didn't make in the past, when in reality, I was making the best decision with the information that I had at that time. And even if I wasn't, I can't change it. It's the past. So dwelling on it is a waste of energy, a waste of time. And this year I want to be more intentional and focused about just being present. The first scripture that came to mind was Matthew 6:34, which basically just says, don't worry about tomorrow. But I actually found Proverbs 4:25. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. And 26 says, give careful thought to the past for your feet and be steadfast in all of your ways. Just the simple line of fixing your gaze directly before you really tells us all we need to know, because that doesn't mean look back. So having the scripture is really what's going to help ground me and keep me focused on the goals when I start feeling like I'm about to stray off the path. Life is too short to be anything but present. And so this year, I really want to do my best to be more intentional about being present and being content with where I'm at right now. Another goal of mine is to focus on positive communication. In the world of shade rooms and social media in general, it is so easy to see something, share it, talk about it. We have to remember that energy translates. And if you were going through a hard time, you wouldn't want someone sharing it and talking about it because you'd want the prayers and the good energy coming towards you instead of the negative. While it won't happen overnight, with the help of these scriptures, I know that I can do a better job in this area. The scripture I'm using for this is Ephesians 4:29, which is, let no unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. And a lot of the times we think that's referring to cursing or swearing, but it also is referring to any negative talk that doesn't uplift someone else. Because the second part of that scripture, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. I'm really trying to be intentional about what comes out of my mouth and what I put my energy towards, because negative energy aside, it also takes up so much time. All of the time I spent sharing a post, laughing about it, talking about it, asking someone else if they heard about it, I could have been using that same time to work towards one of my bigger dreams or my bigger goals. I think we'll get there. And that brings me to the next thing that I've been doing every morning, which is meditating on the list that I've made and the scriptures that I've paired with it every single morning. Instead of just meditating on the one page that I wrote them on, I actually physically turn to every scripture in the morning, because over time I want to be able to just recite these from memory by the end of the year because I've spent so much time dwelling on them and focusing on them and perfecting them in my daily walk. And that starts with meditating on them in the morning. It's a win-win because in the morning I get extra time with God. I also commit the scriptures to memory, and I get to see my goals first thing so that I can always fall back on them when I get to a difficult point during my day or when I'm having a low moment. I can recall them and find peace in knowing that that's what I'm working towards. And these daily goals are critical because they seem small, but these are what will help me become the person I need to be in order to reach the bigger goals that I have for myself. So I encourage you not to take the small changes that you want to make lightly because they all work together for good and help you become the best version of yourself so that the bigger goals can seem a little closer and a little more attainable because you are evolving into the person you need to become to reach them. Because those bigger goals are big. They require a little more faith, a little more intention. So January, I feel, is still a time for you to refine goals, create goals, take away goals. There's so much time in this month to still decide what you want to focus on for the year. It doesn't have to happen by January 1st. And to me, January is the trial month before we get into the subscription. So whatever you need to do, I really think you have until January 31st because this is the month where you figure it out so you can snap into your full potential as you go throughout the rest of 2024. Do something great today, and I will see you in my next video.
I don't wanna waste no more time trying to shake the feeling.